Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to Meet at the Tavern. We're two average guys, myself, Dennis, and my good buddy, Jack.
Woo-hoo.
We're having a gentleman's debate about politics and what's happening in our country today. Please check out our website at fedupwithpolitics.com. And if you want to get involved, become an active participant in our discussions, you can email us at uscg20211@aol.com. We'll be happy to answer any questions you have. So last week we had a couple of guests. My buddy James from New York and your brother Mike were here. Overall, I thought I went well. Hitting the questions with the, they gave at us. It was pretty good. We weren't able to research the material. So how do you think it went, Jack?
I think it went really super, and we got real good feedback on it. And I think we're turning this little hobby of ours into old hat. We're going right into things.
Yeah, I think we're getting better too. So this week's topic is on the squad. You know, those four Democrats who hate America and want the government in your life. But before we get into that, I just want to tell everyone this: our country, we're on a collision course with socialism. We've talked about it over and over again on previous podcasts. I knew we were close, but I didn't think we were this close, because we're really close. This radical Democratic majority in the House have agreed to a $3.5 trillion budget on top of the $1.9 trillion for their stimulus that I still haven't got my $1,400 yet. You know, when Biden became elected, that's over $6 trillion.
Well, with the other $5 trillion, it's going to be $10 trillion.
Yep.
That they want to spend in 6 months.
You know, he hasn't even been in office 6 months. He's already up over $6 trillion.
I don't think he's been in office for a week.
That's true.
Somebody else has been there, but I think he's been out to lunch.
I don't know where we're getting the money to pay all this back. I thought Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema were moderate Democrats, but they just proved to me that we're wrong, Jack. They're just going along with the flow. They're not leaders. They're just followers.
Yeah, well, I understand where they're getting their money from, and it's a new theory on money. I think I'll get into it later here when I talk about one of the squads. But I do, for one reason. Well, I just bought Mark Levin's new book. I didn't read it yet. I just bought it. I haven't opened it. And
what's the name of that book?
American Marxism.
Okay.
And he talks about what's going on. The same thing, kind of what we're doing for this podcast, noting out these people. But I think we have one reason that we can get the Democratic Party. Well, two reasons, actually. I think the American people are going to be fed up with these people by the time 2022 comes. And number two, I tell you the truth, I think there's a three-way divide in the Democratic Party. They can't decide what way they want to go. I don't think they know if they want to be fascist, socialist, or communist. Because all the different policies that all of these extremes come through, they all have a little piece. One is a true fascist, one's a true socialist, and one's a true communist, and they all go around. You know, the press is singing all of their lyrics for them, but nothing's together yet.
You know, the funny part is when Biden was running, he told us that his administration would be the most progressive in the history of politics.
Well,
he wasn't lying.
Yeah, people don't listen. You know, Sean Hannity always says that. You know who used to say that all the time? Rush Limbaugh used to say, listen to what they're saying, because they're telling you what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And they are.
Playbook. They have this Saul Alinsky's playbook.
You know, when Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez broke out the Green New Deal, everybody laughed at her and called her a fool.
Yep.
Guess what? They're voting on budgets for that.
It's not going to get any better. I don't see in the future. Look at inflation.
You know, this thing that this people infrastructure. First of all, there's no such thing as that. And what they're explaining that this people infrastructure is in these trillions of dollars budgets that they're voting on is communism. You know labor doesn't equal revenue. Because you need capitalism. You need demand for a product.
When you vote Democrat, you get high gas prices, get higher prices all around. You get open borders where they have migrants from Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, and these gang members, MS-13, 18th Street Gang, and whatever else that can't be caught. They come here illegally. I think we have more of a communist regime right now.
Yeah, but this new thing that came down where they're working with Facebook now to regulate what they call falsehoods on this corona. First off, why are they so pushing this coronavirus? What's in it?
Right.
This vaccine. What's in this vaccine that these people need now all of a sudden? Now, when they were running for office, they said they weren't going to touch this vaccine because Trump did it.
Yep.
Now they're going door to door. They're forcing you to get it. What did they find out that's in there?
Right. Here we have a communist country in Cuba where people are trying to run away from communism to come to America. And all of a sudden, don't come here. Don't come here. We don't want you.
If you're coming by sea, you're not going to get in. 90
miles away. We don't want you. But to let our southern border, anybody come in. Wake up, people, because we're in serious trouble right now. We need to stand up. The constituents, the voters, if you haven't had enough, I don't think we know what to tell them, Jack.
Yeah, well, if the people of the United States are going to start looking for their information on their own instead of listening to the mainstream press and social media, there's people that are at work that swear by what they're being told. Blindly.
Yeah, you coined the phrase congressional hacks. And these are tyrants we've told the people about over and over again.
Yeah, you know what, Dennis? I think you're right. I don't think we should call them hacks anymore. We should just call them what they are, and they're tyrants.
Tyrants. And when we talk about socialism, we need to talk about the Squad because they are very progressive and wrong for our country. So the 4 congresswomen are Representatives Ilhan Omar of Minnesota, AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York, Rashida Tlaib of Michigan, and Ayanna Pressley of Massachusetts. So, Jack, who would you like to start with first?
Well, I'm going to go with the one that hit the presses and social media first, which is AOC.
Go ahead.
All right. So, first off, if you're talking about the Squad, it was originally 4, and we're going to go over the 4, but 2020 brought 2 more in. Jamal Bowman from New York. He does District 16 in New York. The last Republican to represent that district was Ellsworth Buck, 1949. And the new one, Cori Bush from Missouri, she is District number 1. And the last Republican to represent that area was Sumner Arnold, 1949.
Let me give you a brief history of her district and a little bit about her. AOC was born and raised in the Bronx. All right? She's a daughter of working-class Puerto Rican parents, and she represents New York's 14th congressional district, which includes the eastern part of the Bronx and parts of north central Queens. Astoria, College Point, Corona, East Elmhurst, Jackson Heights, and Woodside.
Awesome neighborhoods.
Yep.
I worked in Woodside. I bordered Jackson Heights. Elmhurst was the hospital I would bring if there was shootings or stabbings or emotionally disturbed person. That's where they would go. Astoria is the 114 precinct. College Point is the 110, and it's right next to where the Mets play, just on the other side of the Grand Central.
So that's the Queens. So the Bronx portion includes City Island, Country Club, Van Nest, Morris Park, Parkchester, Pelham Bay, Schuylerville, and Throgs Neck. And roughly half of the population is of Hispanic or Latino heritage, making it one of the more Latino districts in New York.
So what I have on election...
AOC?
Yeah, AOC, we'll go with that. She's in District 14, like we said. The last Republican was Susan Molinari. She took over for her husband. she got voted out in 1993. She's a Democrat, and she believes in communism, like Dennis said. Her finance, what she believes economically, her finances, when she got elected, in her bank account, she was even after the 2020 election. But her coffers, she raised $21.2 million, and to get reelected, she spent $17.3 million. So she has about $4 million in her coffers that turn into hers. So technically, in 10 years from now, she'll have $4 million of her own without counting the next elections that she does. So
she's a member of the Democratic Socialist of America.
Yeah, I got that written down too.
You know?
Yep.
You hear that, people? The Democratic Socialist of America.
So soon she's going to be a millionaire. Before being elected to Congress, after college, she came home to her mother's house to help her mother out. Her first job was a bartender. Her second job, she started Brook Avenue Press. I got this from the dailymail.com. It was a children's book publishing company. In 2011, she reportedly owed $1,870 in back taxes and corporations to New York State. I don't know if she ever ended up paying it.
Probably not.
I'm sure she didn't. She opened the company through a city-funded incubator in the Bronx. Her rent was between $195 and $275 a person in a building in the Hunts Point section of the Bronx, which is a very big business district. If you wanted to open your own business there, you wouldn't have been paying $275 a person. The company published, you know how many books that company published?
10.
0.
I was close.
Right. So it was a failure. And she ended up owning the state. Her third job, she worked for a nonprofit National Hispanic Institute. She got paid for that.
Okay.
And she had a 401k. And she has between $3,003 to $45,000 in her 401k, which they still consider a wash, where she has no money because her student debt was the highest it could be, we don't know, is $50,000. So we don't know because she has blind trust like everybody else in Washington, D.C. So we don't know exactly how much she has, but we do know she has $4 million in the coffers. Her fourth job was 2016 primary, worked as an organizer for Bernie Sanders' presidential campaign. After the election, she traveled the country by car. And that doesn't sound like a Green New Deal way to travel, but she did it anyway.
Talking about the Green New Deal?
Yeah.
She's the one who introduced the Green New Deal resolution, which is a sweeping proposal to combat the global climate crisis and poverty in the U.S., along with Democratic Senator Ed Markey from Massachusetts.
Yeah, and so she travels the country and goes to these Flint, Michigan Indian reservations, and this is all opens her eyes to why she needs to get into politics. And I want to know, how did she get the money to do all of this travel? Traveling's not cheap, especially by car. You got hotels, gas money, lunch, breakfast, dinner. I don't know, maybe you buy something for your mother who's waiting back in the Bronx for you. So if she's supposed to be broke, but she goes traveling through the country, and while she's traveling, she gets a phone call from the brand new Congress, which was a recruiting progressive candidates program. And I have a little on them, if you don't mind me going down the rabbit hole.
No, go right ahead.
So the brand new Congress, their platform is, they have 8 things on their platform. Rebuild the economy through infrastructure and community investment. I don't know what community investment means, and I don't know where they get the money to invest. Fix the healthcare system with Medicare for all and increase access to medical services. End mass incarceration by ending the war on drugs, and demilitarize police. Fight for families. I don't know how you fight for families after they have no protection. Fight for families through fixing schools and family leave. Clean up Washington, D.C. Here's a joke. By cutting taxes for middle class and low income people and removing money from politics. Here's another joke. Reform immigration with employment verification systems and global legal immigration centers. Stop fighting reckless wars. I don't know if there's any other war. I think they're all reckless. And instead of support economic development as with Marshall Plan. They want to do a Marshall Plan. And the last one, address climate change through building a green economy and a 100% renewable energy system, which does not exist.
Yeah, as Jack said,
That's their platform.
she has a lot of progressive ideas. Like Jack said, she wants Medicare for all. She wants $15 minimum wage. Student loan forgiveness. She wants to abolish immigration and customs enforcement, and has forcefully spoken out against conditions in migrant detention centers. When Trump was president, she was all talk about immigrants in cages, but where is she now that Biden is president? Now wait for an answer. Oh, that's right, that was silence. She doesn't care these kids are in cages now.
Yeah, no.
She's a fraud, just like the others we're going to mention. I can't even believe that the voters of this congressional district even vote for her.
Twice.
Start doing your research, folks, because she's an admitted socialist. And she was the one who stopped Google from setting up shop in New York City. She talks about people not making money. The median income for her district is under $31,000. These Google jobs would have been good paying jobs. But thanks to her, zero jobs came in. Almost 13% live under the poverty line. So good move, AOC.
Yeah, they were going to employ, I think, something like 60,000 employees at six-figure salaries. She got rid of 60,000 jobs at $100,000 or more. So that's how she took care of her constituents.
You know what I found funny? Is almost 80% of the people in that district have a high school diploma or higher education. So they're very educated people.
And you want to know what? I'll bet you most of the people that are willing to vote move out of that district.
Right. I mean, what did I see in her?
They see they got to get out of that district, and they move. They move down here.
These people are getting... She's a fraud, I'm telling you. She's a fraud.
The only thing I couldn't find out about her was if this brand new Congress, I couldn't find out if George Soros...
Give her any funds?
If funded that. You know, because George Soros doesn't really fund one particular person, although he does a lot of attorney generals, state attorney generals. I couldn't find out if he contributes to this new group, and I could not find out how much they funded her campaign.
There's even Democrats that can't stand her in Congress.
Yeah, well, they should start going on TV and telling everybody about that instead of falling into line. But that's what Democrats do. It's group thinking, which is socialism itself.
You got anything else on AOC? I don't.
Well, I have this. Just a little back. She is an admitted socialist. I do believe she is a socialist. She is not a fascist. She's not a communist. She is a true socialist, and she understands that that's what she wants. That brand new Congress did get bills to Congress. One was, it was called the Summer for Progress. It was Medicare for All, H.R. 676, Medicare for All Act. Free college tuition, H.R. 1880, College for All Act of 2017. Worker rights, H.R. 15, Raise the Wage Act. Women's rights, H.R. 771, Equal access to abortion coverage and health insurance, Each Woman Act of 2017. Voting rights, H.R. 2840, Automatic Voter Registration Act. Environmental justice, Climate Charge Bill, TBD, Criminal Justice and Immigration Rights, H.R. 3227, Justice is Not for Sale Act of 2017, and Taxing Wall Street, H.R. 1144, Inclusive Prosperity Act.
You know, we talked about the Biden-Sanders Unity Task Force recommendations, and AOC is one of the co-writers of the climate change one. I mean, where does she has no expertise in anything, so why is she even on a committee? They just have to give people committee spots. We need people that are brilliant. We don't have too many, no matter what, Republican or Democrat. We don't have too many brilliant people in Congress right now. You know.
I'm going to rattle off a few things. I got more on her.
Okay, go ahead.
She said she did not accept contributions from corporations. So that being said, I don't know how she raised enough money. That's why I think George Soros backed this brand new Congress group that came into her, because she was able to oust an incumbent, Joe Crowley, a 10-term representative in that same district. She also said her campaign posters designs, catch this one. She said in her first election into Congress, her posters were said to have taken inspirations from revolutionary past and visuals from the past. These are people she can't stand.
Right.
But she used them to get elected. It's almost trying to say that she was a representative of our founding fathers.
If that doesn't tell you she's a fraud, nothing does.
Yeah. She's a little hypocritical on that. I mean,
Just a little.
That's unbelievable. Her endorsements were from MoveOn.com and Democracy for America. I don't know how they're not big corporations. They're making millions of dollars. Her political belief is, first and foremost, she is a democratic socialist of America, which Dennis already said. And she supports workplace democracy, Medicare for all, tuition-free public college, federal jobs guarantee, Green New Deal, and abolishing the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE. So what I wanted to talk about was this this federal jobs guarantee. It is part of, this is what I was going to get into with that account where you say, well, what they're doing with this money.
Right.
It's called MMT, Modern Monetary Theory. Basically what I got out of it is that they get 100% employment throughout the United States because the government pays for it. And so what they say is, basically, the United States doesn't have to pay back any of their domestic debt because it's their money anyway. So all of this $10 trillion that the Democrats are trying to push through right now, you know, you say, oh, we got to pay. They don't plan on paying it back because it's like saying you and I go play golf and it costs us $40, so we pay ourselves back $40 after we play golf. You don't have to do that. So in order to pay our foreign debts, they just print money. And everybody's got a job. They print the money, pay our bills. It's a fiat, so our dollar goes down in value. So since the American dollar is fiat-based, they consider it a commodity. So how they make the dollar rare and raise the value of our American dollar in the fiat is they raise taxes and they raise not interest rates.
Do you know how much our foreign debt is?
Wait, hold on a minute. Margaret's going to kill me. I forgot. Not interest rates. What's going on with our money? We're getting a raise in
Inflation.
inflation. So with the raise of inflation and the rise in taxes makes the American dollar less available, so its worth goes up in their mind. So they're going to tax you all the money you're out there making. So if you make $100, they're going to take $50 because that $100 is so rare that now this $100 is worth more than $100 in their mind.
Right. Do you know how much our foreign debt is? Just take a guess for China.
China?
$1.1 trillion.
You know what? That's less than our student loans.
In Japan, we call an ally, right?
Yeah.
Guess how much we owe them?
How much?
$1.2 trillion.
$2.3 trillion.
$1.2 trillion.
I mean, you put it together.
Right. That's crazy.
So anyway, all of these trillions that they're planning on spending, they're not planning on paying back. That's their theory on currency. And she is fully on board with that.
I can believe that.
Does that make sense? Did I explain that right?
Yeah, you did.
I mean, it's much more complex than that. I could have did, first off, I don't understand everything about it. That's just dumbing it up the way I viewed it in my reading.
The public debt is like $6 trillion.
Mm-hmm.
That's
it's funny, sorry to interrupt, but
There's a voice.
the Republicans always say, how are we going to pay for this? After every bill that the Democrats want to pass through, Republicans always say, how are we going to pay for this? And the reason why it passes through is because of what you're saying. The Democrats don't care. We don't have to pay it back. So it's kind of hard for the Republicans to fight for this.
Well, they can.
That's a really good point. Yeah, that's a good point. But they need to stand together and say enough is enough. Enough is enough.
Yes, it is enough. These people are really, really, and like I said, they're coming from all angles of every kind of ism there is, except for capitalism.
Right. So who do you want to talk about next?
Elon Omar?
That sounds good. Go ahead.
Go ahead. You want me to go?
I'll start first.
Okay.
She's Minnesota, 5th Congressional District. It's a geographically small urban and suburban. It covers Hennepin County and includes the entire city of Minneapolis, parts of Anoka and Ramsey counties. Other major cities in her district: St. Louis, Park, Richfield, Crystal, Robbinsdale, Golden Valley, New Hope, Hopkins, and Fridley and Northeast Edina. She is the first Somali American member of Congress, and she, along with Talib, she's also another Somalian. They're the first two Muslim women ever elected to Congress. The funny part, she came to this country more than 2 decades ago as a refugee and wanted to be an American citizen. In 2000, at the age of 17, she got that. So she wanted to be an American. All right? And where is she now?
Yeah. Well, in her district, the last Republican was Walter Judd, 1963. That was the last Republican that represented that area of Minnesota. She's what I consider to be a communist. Certainly seems like she hates this country that took her in and educated her and afforded her an opportunity
To become a citizen.
to be one of its leaders, first in local government and then in the federal government. Since being placed in a position to be heard and represent the people of Minnesota on all the mainstream media and social networks, I don't think I've ever heard her one single time, say anything pro-American. Nothing has been stated by her. And my biggest question about that is, why do the people of Minnesota keep electing her to office? She literally hates this country and everything it represents, every one of its allies. She puts us in the same frame as terrorist groups and miserable people. I mean, I don't understand there is a lot of countries out there that believe what she believes in. And I don't understand why she's there. I mean...
We always talk about the uneducated voters. They always want the educated, uneducated to vote for them. They don't want us educated because we wouldn't vote for them. In her district, almost 90% have high school graduation rate. And 43% have a college education.
And
educated people voting for socialism.
Well, you know what, though? I think you're making a mistake when you say they're educated. I think they're indoctrinated.
They're educated, but they're not very smart.
If you're anti-American and Israel.
Yep.
Go to one of these countries that you have the same beliefs in.
You know, I just hope we're not too late to reach people, to let them know that we're going towards socialism by voting for these people. And we're getting closer and closer every single day.
Yeah, well, we are. Whose turn is it?
I'll go.
Okay.
You know, she ran with the support of the Justice Democrats, the same progressive group that helped bring AOC into politics. And also she wants Medicare for all. She wants to also abolish ICE. Again, tuition-free college and minimum wage to $15 an hour, which our price will get increased if that happens. Again, she wants open borders with Mexico. But since Biden's come into office, I don't think she said anything about the migrants in cages now. I don't even think she said anything about the Cubans trying to flee their communist regime. I mean, most likely she'll be on the bandwagon and say, we don't want you here. You're probably going to vote Republican if you get here, so we don't want you here.
Yeah, die out and see.
Yep.
I got a little thing on her. From 2014 to 2019, she has been under suspicion of campaign finance problems and tax problems.
Did she marry her brother or something like that?
You know, there was a lot of things like that, but I couldn't find out about it, so I didn't write about it. I just kept on going.
Yeah,
on
I'm not
it.
sure.
I mean, I think she's on her fourth husband now. I don't know. But,
Gee, I think one would be enough.
yeah, right? I mean, what's wrong with these guys? So when these allegations came up, her response was dismiss the accusations as politically motivated and accuse the person presenting these allegations of using public funds to harass a Muslim candidate. Well, guess what, folks? It turned out that she had to pay back $3,500 that she had spent on out-of-state travel and tax filing in violation of the state laws. So a few things on this. First off, how in the hell did you idiots in Minnesota still re-elect this person? She's supposed to be representing you on the state level while she's getting fined for breaking state laws. Second, how good of a job is she doing governing your state, and she doesn't know the laws of the land and doesn't care to learn about them?
I don't even think she knows the Constitution.
No. And then they vote her, not only do they vote her back in as a local representative, but then they vote her as a federal representative. Right. Knowing she was accused and not accused, she actually did. She had to pay $3,500 plus a $500 fee on tax evasion in Minnesota. And the only thing she says about that was it was all aligned through racism.
That's all they use. Every Democrat uses that. You're racist if you try and find out what I did.
Yeah, well, everything she says and does is wrong.
You know, she came to this country, like Omar, wanting to be an American citizen. And she hates America. Go away. Go back to wherever you came from. I mean, I hate to say it, but there's some pretty stupid people to elect a clown like this.
I mean, they're electing this woman. She doesn't even know the state laws.
Yep.
How is she supposed to represent you when she can't even keep herself out of trouble? Mm-hmm. She can't keep, and then when the press says something, ha ha ha, when it's really not the press, it's Newsmax or Fox or somebody like that. She says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that was wrong," and she says racist stuff and anti-Semitic, and her answer's the same thing. "Oh, I didn't realize that was offensive." How is it that you don't know that these things are offensive? You know, she's always flipping the script and saying the reasons that this is being brought up is because she's a Muslim, or she's a woman, or she's a person of color, and then she's allowed to say whatever she wants. Mm-hmm. I mean, she's smart enough to know right and wrong, I would believe.
I hope so. She's educated.
Yeah. So, just like you said, she doesn't want the cops. She doesn't want ICE. She wants a Green New Deal. She's an anti-Semite. So bad she's an anti-Semite, so bad that she's banned from Israel.
You know, you got to sit back and think about what's going on. You got to think about why they want to get rid of, ICE. why they want to get rid of the police, why they want to get rid of the rule of law in America, it comes down to they don't care about the average citizen. They don't want jails. They don't want bail. They think everybody, if you kill someone, oh well, I guess you shouldn't have pissed them off. You know? What is wrong?
Well, they don't want
with
jail
the
for certain people.
Right.
Like, look at these guys, part of that January 6th. They're still in solitary confinement.
Mm-hmm.
They still haven't had their day in court. It's 6 months later. Where's your right to a speedy trial?
You're right. You know, the Constitution guarantees us a speedy trial.
So basically, all they want in prisons are political prisoners.
Yep. The ones that they can keep silent. Because they feel if they keep them silent, the other people, oh, I don't want to go to jail. Oh, I don't want to do that. So everybody else remains silent. So they're kind of getting their way. If you think about it.
They're getting that. You know, that's why we were saying in our last podcast. You know, people are calling these tyrants, because we're not going to call them hacks anymore because they're tyrants. They're calling them dumb and ridiculous, and the things they're coming out with are absurd. Well, they're all coming to fruition, folks. They're all coming to fruition. Come hook or crook.
That's a good one.
They're going to get it.
Yep, you're absolutely right.
That's all I got on Omar.
Who do you want to do next? Talib?
Yeah.
She represents Michigan's 13th congressional district. It includes the western half of Detroit, along with several of its western suburbs and much of the downtown area. But her district is 33% below the poverty line, so I know why these people vote for her. I would like to know what solutions she has come up with to get her constituents out of poverty. I can almost guarantee you she has no answer except raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Another Democrat that's all talk and no action when it comes to creating jobs.
Yeah, well, I got on her, the beginning part of her is, she says she belongs to the Democrats, but she's also a Democratic Socialist of America. The last Republican to represent her district was Howard Coffin, 1949. She was elected to office on the state level in 2009 to 2014 and was forced out of office because of, believe this or not, term limits. Thank God for that state. Well, they put her in the federal spot. She got involved in politics in 2004 as an intern, and later, 2007, she was hired to the same man's staff, which was Steve Tobocumin. I don't know how. I must respect. I'm not saying his name right, but, and that was before she passed the bar exam. She was already in politics. She has an anti-Israel and believes in a one-state policy, meaning no Israel.
Yeah, she's aligned herself with a political cause for outside the Democratic mainstream when she said that she supports the controversial boycott, the divestment, and sanctions movement against Israel. She can care less about Israel, care less about Palestinians, bombing them, the PLO. She hates people of Israel. You know, but the funny part to me is
She hates the people of America?
that too. You know, hours after being sworn into Congress, she grabbed headlines when she told the audience at a progressive event, we're going to go in there and we're going to impeach that mother effer, in reference to Trump. How is it? Two things. Number one, Israel has been a strong ally of the United States for years, and this clown has the audacity to speak bad about them. Then to talk about a sitting president like that, she should have been arrested and placed in jail. Because we all know if a Republican said something like that against a Democrat, there'd be hell to pay. These four radical idiots get a free pass on everything they say and do. Why is that? Why isn't the mainstream media digging deeper to find out about these radical progressives?
They're all friends.
You know, our founders said that the only way we'd be defeated was from the insiders. And as you can see, Jack, they're doing a really good job taking this country down.
Yes, I don't have a lot on Talib because, as I say in my last paragraph about her, is she's just a follower. She's following the squad.
I think they're all followers, except for AOC is the leader of the squad, and the rest are following her down a dark hole.
Well, these are the only things I could find about her. She believes that there's no rehabilitating the Michigan police. She feels they should be no more police, no more incarceration, or militarization. I couldn't find anything about her beliefs on economy policy, just her hatred for Israel, America, police, military, white people, especially Republicans. She follows these people, and she's one of the worst leaders because she is a follower, and she is, to me, a complete cookie cutter of Kamala Harris.
I should have looked into her voting records. That totally slipped my mind. They're probably atrocious, just like most other ones. But when you hate America, when you hate your allies, you don't deserve to be in Congress. You don't deserve to be elected. And I get it. There's a lot of uneducated people. And I don't mean, when I'm talking about uneducated in politics, people don't follow it. They just go out and, hey, I'm going to vote Democrat because that's what they've been all their lives, without doing any research. And that's bad. It's bad for the country. Because as you can see, we just mentioned 3 that are admitted socialists.
Well, it goes back to, again, like Winston Churchill said, if you don't know your history, you're destined to repeat it.
Well, these young kids don't know our history.
No, they have no idea. They're not taught history or math or science. But, Reagan had said he didn't leave the Democratic Party, it left him.
Right.
That was almost 40 years ago. Well, it was more than 40 years ago, but since he's been president.
Like 1976 he said that, didn't he?
Yeah. So, but he also said another funny thing. Somebody was talking to him about some policies that the Democrat, they were blaming a policy, just like they do today, on the Republicans. And he said, you're right. I am part to blame for that because I used to be a Democrat. And it's, you have to wake up and start realizing what your Democratic Party is doing and what your Republican Party is not doing. So basically, you have representatives in Washington, D.C. on both sides of the aisle not doing the American thing.
There's 100 senators, 50-50 split. 50 that go on the Democratic side, 50 that side with the Republican side. And then you got 435 maybe in the House.
Right.
And everything, 99% of everything is on a party line vote.
Yeah,
it used to be a time.
Though, Dennis, you talk about that, but the Republicans are barely
holding their own.
Barely getting, what are they? They're like a bunch of jellyfish in there. They don't have a backbone.
Yeah, like Tom Rice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. That's why we need people in there that'll stand up and fight for us instead of these freaking lobbyists.
Yeah, well.
So the last person is, I didn't have that much on her either.
I have literally 3 paragraphs on her.
Yeah, that's what I had.
Ayanna Pressley.
She's our congressional leader from Massachusetts, 7th Congressional District. It's the eastern Massachusetts, 3/4 of the city of Boston, and a few northern and southern suburbs. She's the first black congressman to represent Massachusetts, and it was represented by JFK.
Yeah.
So a lot of history there.
Well,
a lot of history.
You want to know, the last Republican was a guy called Robert Maloney. You know what year that was?
Probably 1940s.
1923.
Really?
1923 was the last Republican that got into office over there. She attended Boston University, but she did not graduate. She only went there for 2 years. And after leaving school, she went to work for Joseph Kennedy. And then later on, she was part of the staff of U.S. Senator John Kerry. And then she was elected into politics, local politics, in 2009.
I get it. People register Democrat, they register Republican, Conservative, Independent. And we do it for whatever reasons we do. But again, we don't have to strictly vote for a Republican. We don't have to strictly vote for a Democrat. We need to vote for constitutionalists. And people aren't doing that anymore like they used to. And we're getting into a sad place in society right now. But Presley, just like AOC, spoke out about the poor conditions for detained migrants and the humanitarian crisis on the southern border. And she was another basher of Trump. I mean, again, just a talker, just a mouthpiece, and not having any solutions. You know, it's easy to criticize. You know, we expect more. Well, I know we do. Expect more out of our elected representatives. But unfortunately, that's not what we're getting. We're getting people that are full of hot air and offer no solutions. She's been silent on this humanitarian crisis that's occurring in our southern border right now. They will only talk about it when a Republican is in president. But it's all right for people to sleep in cages when a Democrat is in charge. These people are freaking hypocrites and tyrants.
Tyrants, yeah. Well, she got elected in 2018 and re-elected in 2020. She supports, still does, the protests against the national anthem by our athletes. She believes that the voting age should be 16. And here's one of the bills that she signed her name to, believe it or not. With all the things that are going on in this country, this and another handful of people, one senator, they introduced a bill, Create a Respectful and Open World for Natural Hair Act.
What the heck is that?
Ban the discrepancy on hair texture.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. In other words, saying if your hair is a certain way and you don't believe in it, you're a racist. She wants to defund the ICE.
These are our elected representatives sponsoring legislation like that.
Yeah. Yep,
What the hell is wrong with America? What the freak is wrong with people?
I'm neutral
That's
on
your
that
elected
hair
representative.
thing,
Yeah.
because I don't have any.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, Mike, you got facial hair.
yeah, you outgrew your hair.
I just don't get it. I don't. That was her spot. She sponsored that legislation.
Yeah. Yep. Her and I should have copied down the names, but I was doing it before I got here. There was about 6 of them that sponsored that. And when she got elected, she said she wanted to make sexual violence a major priority. And she was going to do this. You want to know how? By legalizing sex work. I mean, if she legalized sex work and they had to go to minimum wage, they'd be getting a cut in pay. They'd have to count on tips.
You people in Massachusetts better wake up. You better wake up, folks.
There's 2 things about her. One, I tentatively agree with her. The first one, she did vote to condemn the boycott against Israel. It didn't say the reason why, because on the liberal search engine I had, wouldn't say why she did that. I can't believe they actually put that on there, but they did. And on the surface, her criminal justice reform, the little bit that they put on there, I agreed with. Basically, she's saying that if you get incarcerated, there should be reform issues in there. I believe for certain criminals, there should be certain ones like sex offenders and stuff. I don't think there's reform for them. And she says, incarceration begins with where you lay your head down on a pillow at night, which is, they should be doing something for these people in these neighborhoods that can't afford to find a skill, to give them a skill set so when they do get out of prison, they can become a part of society.
Right. I mean, I just don't get it.
But better make sure you get the right haircut.
I just don't get it. Do that many people hate America that they vote for 4 radical individuals to represent them?
Now it's up to 6.
It's up to 6 now. But I just don't. Dude, are there that many people that hate America? I don't know.
I don't know. It's one of 2 things.
Do that many people want socialism?
It's one of 2 things, I think, Dennis. Number 1, they weren't taught history, so they don't know. As far as some of these younger voters, I would say They think United States was founded on despotism. You know, they were the worst. And number two, they're just lazy and listen to the idiot box.
Yeah, maybe they just don't care who they represent or who they vote for.
Maybe they don't think it's that important.
As long as it's a Democrat. Yeah, I agree with you there.
You know, as they're growing older and they're having spouses and children, and these crazy maniacs are getting into office, it's not affecting their life. So
Right.
why change?
You know,
But the change is coming.
it's not going to be for the good because
No.
we're moving towards socialism. You know,
Well, we're moving to one of them, and one's worse than the other.
Mm-hmm.
They're all bad.
you got that right. We need capitalism.
That's all I have on Ayanna Presley.
You know, as Jack said, there's now 6 individuals. So look them up. They want to create division among every person who lives in America. But we thought we'd let you know about the original 4. And like you said, do some homework and some research on the other 2. So we're just about done with this podcast. So I'm going to turn over to Jack for his final message.
My final message is, if you think that these politicians are not affecting your life, try and look ahead of the curve. Look what's down the road for you. Look at what you do for a living. Look at what you do for a living and look at where these people are standing on it. Because a lot of you people out there that have a trade, a profession, a career, may not be there. You know, we're scratching the surface, folks. We're getting deeper into it. Coal miners, gone. Oil well drivers, gone. When you get rid of coal miners and oil drills and pipelines, you're losing welders. You're losing truck drivers. You're losing oil delivery guys, fuel delivery guys, delis that are on the routes, restaurants that night when they want to go out to eat with their family. You're losing countless jobs. If one of your jobs are at the end of one of these systems that they want to get rid of, it's going to affect you. And don't be too late. Don't be sitting there at 50 years old when your industry is gone wondering what you're going to do for a living. Because you know what you're going to end up doing? You're going to end up going to debtor's prison because they'll be bringing that back too.
Yep. You know, I find it funny, but then again, it's really not that funny that those 4 people we just mentioned can cause so much havoc within their own Democratic Party.
I got one more thing.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Me and Dennis have said this in many, many podcasts. The people that are voting these representatives in, you are ruining the whole country. Stop ruining this country because of your laziness or your lack of interest, whatever it is.
Or because you don't want to do the research.
You know, get off your ass, start getting your neighborhood in the right way before it's too late. We keep telling you, stop voting these people in, and they keep getting reelected.
You know, it doesn't matter. I mean, if you're Democrat, Republican, conservative, all these people are just lip service. They just run their mouths to be heard. They offer no solutions. That's Republican, Democrat, that's all of them. All right? They say we have a problem in America, but they won't say what that problem is. They hate Israel. They support the Palestinians. And I'm sure they even support Iran and China because they want socialism and communism in this country. I mean, Jack, you and I are old school. I don't know if you remember this, but when we were kids, remember getting under your desk at school? Getting ready for that possible
The atomic bomb?
Yep. I mean, they made us prepared.
You remember that, Mike?
What's that?
Going under your decks for nuclear war tests?
Yep.
You know, these 4 radical progressives want socialism. They want the government to say what we do, when we do it, and as constituents, we can't let that happen. Jack, we're trying to wake up people. And honestly, I believe, and I'm sure you do too, believe they are frustrated and annoyed with our congressional leaders. And we believe now is the time for our movement, the one where we retake America and keep it the #1 leader in the world. Again, check out our website, fedupwithpolitics.com, and email us, get actively involved, uscg20211 at AOL.com. We always say education is important, so do your research, find out who else on the squad, get to know more about them, call your congressional members, call your state and local representatives, just to let them know you're here. And we know what they're doing and what they're up to, and we're coming for them. We're going to take them out at the voting booth. See, we're going to win. Thanks for listening, and as always, knowledge is power. We'll see you next time at the tavern.
Can I
say
say one thing before we go?
Sure.
About those 4 in Congress. $15 minimum wage, I think you should get it. All congressmen get $15 an hour. Medicare for all, you first. You want to fix Social Security? That's your retirement. See how fast things get done, or how fast they drop things that they thought they wanted. Also, they want big government in your lives, not theirs.
All right, Mike, thanks for that ending. And again, knowledge is power. We'll see you next week at the tavern.